So today we're doing another Raid the Fridge special. I went into my crisper and found that I had 4 baigan or 4 eggplant that was, on its way out. So I want to use them. I'm going to make a little eggplant bolognese. And to go with that, I want to make some homemade pasta. Homemade pasta real easy. All you need is eggs, flour, salt, and a little bit of oil. And that's it. So yeah, this should be fun. There we go. One time. So working on this homemade pasta, you might think is a real complicated procedure, but it really isn't. Just need 2 cups of flour. And I have my clean surface here that I'm gonna be working on. Adding a pinch of salt. Just mixing the salt in with the flour. Cracking 2 eggs. And if you do have a large surface area to work with like this, then do this in a bowl, it'll be less mess. And use my hands and bring this together until it forms a dough. Add in a tablespoon of oil. I'm using vegetable oil, but if you have olive oil, you could use that as well. Just gonna continue to bring this together. All right, so the dough has come together. So now we're just gonna knead this until it's perfectly smooth. I would say for about 3 minutes. All right, so that is it. The dough has come together nicely. So now I just wanna wrap it in some cling because we need to let it rest for a little bit. So wrapping it in the cling will prevent it from forming a skin. Don't want that. So just gonna wrap this up. And while it's resting and doing its thing, we're going to move on to making our eggplant bolognese. And usually when I'm preparing something like this, I would keep the skin on the eggplant, but as you can see, the condition of the skin ain't too wholesome. So for these that ain't looking too good, I'm just gonna peel them. But for the ones where the skin's still intact, I'll leave the skin on. And what I'm doing here is just peeling and then I'm cutting them into small cubes because I really want it to cook down and form a real nice sauce. So the smaller we cut it, is the easier and faster it will cook. And to cut this into cubes is straightforward. And cut it like this. Like this into strips. Cut across. And as easy as that, we have some nice cubed eggplant here. They're gonna cook down real nice in our sauce. So you can see the skin still good on this one. So this one I won't peel. I'll use this with the skin on. And for the sauce, I also want to prep a head of garlic. So that's about 10 to 12 cloves of garlic. Starting off with about a 1/4 cup of olive oil, a 1/4 teaspoon of aniseed, add in the garlic. I don't want this garlic to fry for too long. About 30 seconds. As soon as you start to smell that nice garlic flavor coming through, you want to add the eggplant because you really don't want the garlic to burn at all. So you add in the eggplant. Give this a good toss. Add in a pinch of salt, some black pepper. Add in 2 tablespoons of dried Italian seasoning. So we're going in with a 1/4 cup of tomato paste. To this we want to add 1 cup of water. And now we want to cover this and let it cook on low heat for 30 minutes. 30 minutes later, this is how we're looking. The eggplant cooked down nice, it's broken down perfectly and made a nice chunky sauce. Just gonna taste it for salt. Just add in a little bit of salt. Give that a stir. So I'm just gonna leave this to kusume, and in the meantime, let's start to work on our pasta. So I had our dough resting. Now it's time to make our pasta. And unfortunately, I don't have a pasta machine, so I will be doing everything by hand. Sprinkle some flour onto our work surface. Cut this in half. Just work with half for now. Press this down like this. Now we're going to use the rolling pin and roll this out as thin as possible. If you leave this too thick, then you'll end up with dumpling and not pasta. So you definitely want to roll this out as thin as it will go. And I ain't gonna lie, the first time I made pasta, I find it was real work, and I think it was because it was the first time I was doing it. But now, you know, I did it a couple times and it really not feeling like that much work, to be honest. So I guess it's just one of those things you need to really get accustomed to. But yeah, once you do it a couple of times, it should be real easy to prepare. So as you can see, it real thin here. Don't know if you could see like my hand through it. I don't know if the camera will pick that up. But you can kind of like almost see my hand through this. So it's pretty thin. And now I'm just gonna cut it out into my pasta shape. I call it a shape, but I really just gonna cut it into strands. Something I guess resembling fettuccine. Is it? Yeah, I think it's fettuccine I'm thinking about. Not linguine, fettuccine. So like I said, I don't have any fancy pasta machine, so I'm doing everything here by hand. I'm just gonna try to cut this into a rectangle. And obviously I will not be wasting the scraps. I'll be cutting the scraps into pieces as well. Just gonna flour the surface here, or flour the dough. Fold it onto itself so it don't stick. And now we're just gonna cut. Again, you could cut this as thick or as thin as you want. I mean, trying to be uniform, but because we're not doing this for marks or nothing like that, you don't have to beat up. You have a pretty good shape here, a pretty good length. So yeah, I think we're good to go with this. I'm just gonna keep cutting. And you'll notice when I cut a few, I loosen them out one time, because I don't want it to stick together. So that's something to note. Just gonna pile them up here. Well, I got 6 portions out of the 2 cups of flour. So now that I have these all portioned out and ready, I'm gonna cook off one and we're gonna get to eating in a little bit. So to cook the pasta, we need the water at a rolling boil. Not a simmer, but rolling boil, like you see in here. And the pasta doesn't take long to cook at all. Between 45 seconds to 1 minute is all you need to cook this pasta. So add in a bit of salt, and then I'm going in with 1 portion of the pasta. And because it cooks so fast, there's something that you could cook portion by portion. You don't need to cook all one time. So just gonna move it around a little bit just to make sure it don't stick together. And I don't want to overcook it at all. I mean, we go through the trouble of making this nice, fresh, homemade pasta. We don't want to overcook it and turn it into mush. And think about it like you're cooking a very thin dumpling. You know, dumpling don't take long to cook. So a very thin dumpling like this, a minute is all you need. I cook in it, I wouldn't even say al dente. Cooking it for a minute is properly cooked. I'm gonna eat this one time, I ain't even sticking. Now I have the sauce here. Just gonna put some on top. Boom, look at that, man. Look at that. Looking like some restaurant quality thing, eh? I mean, I know it's real hot, but yeah, I'm going for a taste one time. Listen, the difference between this fresh homemade pasta and the one you would buy in the supermarket, chalk and cheese, there's no comparison. And here's a little bit of effort, and you're not going to do this every single day. But you know, if you're doing a little special occasion, something, and you want to do something a little fancy that don't require a lot of fancy ingredients, sure, you can make this. And I'm going to tell you, this eggplant bolognese, real nice. The tomato paste, the garlic inside there, and of course that hint of aniseed. Top tier things, top tier things. If you like this recipe, please give the video a thumbs up and give it a share. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, please take a moment to do so. Of course, the full recipe will be posted in a link in the video description. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. I will nyam down on this pasta and eggplant bolognese. See you in the next one. Later.